I'm Ginny Schuster with Contact Mapping, and I'm so excited. I am here today with Dory Johnson, who is Skincare with Dory. I absolutely love her. And full disclosure, I want you to know that I use Dory, and I have so much fun with her. So a little bit about her. She offers advanced anti-aging skincare technology and products to create healthy and glowing skin. Aren't I glowing? And I always have so much fun with her. And I love your background, Dory. You've done so much. So may we start with your photography and then have you lead into from photography, how you went from photography to skincare with Dory.
Sure thing, sure thing. My background is as a professional photographer, portrait photography, and a professional photojournalist. I worked for USA Today, Ski Magazine, Scholastic Incorporated, Boulder Weekly for 8 years, Boulder County Business Report, the Boulder Planet, which no longer exists. And I went on to shoot photo shoots for Oxfam, DNC. There was Ted Koppel, Sean Penn, the Kennedys. And then I was running simultaneously a photojournalist business and a photography portraiture business. And in my portraiture business, a big part of my job was art directing. People would say, well, I really don't know what my image should be like. How do you think I should be seen? And so there I was crafting their image for them to put out publicly, and then artistically implementing that with the post-production with the crews that I needed. And I got very involved with looking at people's faces and their micro expressions and doing quite a bit of touch up that didn't look, that looked natural and realistic, but enhanced their image and their beauty. So
now, when you say advanced, does that mean that you actually took their makeup and worked on how they looked, or are you talking about touching up the photos?
Well, these are secrets of the trade, so I don't actually say what I did.
Oh, okay.
But I did quite a bit to people. I even highlighted people's hair.
A little bit of that.
Yeah.
That's your expertise.
Yeah. And it was always a mix between science and math on one side, because when you're dealing with photography, you're dealing with, light fall off, and you've got 3 different lights and they're moving at a different percentage of what's going on to your subject. And you're running math equations in your head. And you're also at the same time talking to people and helping them feel comfortable. And that meant that I would say whatever was needed to get people to open up and trust me so that we could get them to shine for their photograph. Hence, I still have that photojournalistic quality of saying whatever is needed for the photo shoot.
Now, didn't I read that you have a psychology background also, which would play into this as well as your art background?
I was in grad school to be a counselor and just chose to not do that path. And I went on and became an outdoor educator and worked with adjudicated youth and led backpacking and more mountain experience trips.
I can see how this would all play together to lead you into what you're doing now.
There were some other factors too. I was leading women's groups. I was in New York probably about 6 weeks every month studying with Mama Gina School of the Womenly Arts. And while I was in New York, I was doing photo shoots, and I came back and started a group called The Salon, where I was working with women on various things. And it translated over the art of the photography and the women's groups into more of an intimate skincare business. And when I say intimate, it means we talk openly about what's really going on.
Wow. In the back of their minds and why they may be stressed or things, that sort of thing. Is that what you're referring to?
Estheticians, a good esthetician needs to come from an approach of a whole body. People's skin is a mirror to what's going on inside of themselves, their lifestyle, their habits, their choices, if they're drinking enough water, if they're getting enough sleep. They could be taking a medication that's strongly affecting their skin to make them break out or be splotchy or dry. And so an esthetician has to go in, and doesn't have to, but should go in and start to figure out, well, okay, why is the skin reacting like it is on a holistic whole body basis?
Wow. I never thought of it that way. Wow.
We're
So
also
you
your
really
first
did.
line of defense. Mostly the esthetician will see if there's a skin problem coming up, as will your hairdresser. If you've got a possible skin cancer or a rash, that will be spotted by the esthetician or the hairdresser often before the person knows, sees it themselves.
That is absolutely fascinating. So you went from photography, and what got you leading into this direction of esthetician?
I was living in Denver, and I had 3 photography studios, and had taken off to California to do a political campaign photojournalistic job. And while I was out there, I started getting microcurrent from a woman who had built a microcurrent machine with a nuclear physicist. And after much research, I bought her machine and started doing these treatments on the dining room table. And just kept,
But, yeah, I want to welcome you into my home and make you feel comfortable, folks.
lie down on my wooden dining room table. I'm going to do your skin.
Right.
But I was unlicensed.
Oh,
So
okay.
it was after me realizing I really needed a license that I started going down the pathway of becoming an esthetician and seeing how much there was artistically and chemistry and math. And so the two again blended.
Got it. Got it. So you went to school for a couple years while you were doing this, or how did it all come together? California to Colorado.
I came back to Colorado and I was back in Denver after the summer, and I enrolled in an esthetician program, which I thought would be very easy. And I learned that esthetician school is a mix of chemistry, anatomy, tough anatomy, infectious diseases, protocols, ingredients. It was much deeper than I ever expected.
Wow.
And I graduated, headed back to California, and got licensed in California, which is the toughest license to get.
Interesting.
And came back and got 4 advanced trainings here, and then opened my own clinic.
Oh my goodness. So from Denver, did you decide to open in Boulder? Because that's where you are now. Did you spend some time and open a place down there?
I was actually offered a great job in California with a very, very experienced woman there. But I decided that my heart was back in Boulder for a number of reasons. And I came back here first I looked for work and didn't find a place that was compatible for me, product-wise, lifestyle-wise. And so I came and opened my own place in Boulder.
Oh, great. Well, I love Boulder. As you know, we had an offset printing business there for years.
Yeah.
So I'm very familiar with that area, right up against the Flatirons Mountains.
Yeah, it's a beautiful area.
Oh, it is. Yes. But as we've talked, I noticed that you also have clients that come in from, didn't you say Crested Butte, or, you are well renowned from the East Coast to the West Coast, apparently.
Because I didn't realize as I was doing this, I was picking product lines that didn't have the glam and the glitz and the marketing campaigns, but had the great chemists, the great doctors, the great ingredients that were results oriented, science backed. And so my clients on the East and West Coast can't get it there or don't know of someone there. So I ship all over the country. And then I have clients coming to me because I brought in technologies that are really making a true difference in their skin. That, you know, the Neurotress microcurrent, there's, I think, only one other in Colorado person that's using this technology. And ProCell is one of the top microneedling out there. And the way that I'm stacking appointments to make the most difference, I think my clients really appreciate. So they do tend to want to come in for their treatments. I think the beauty industry and the skincare industry is really seductive, and it's $1 billion industry. And there's a lot of flash in the pan out there that, you know, tells you it's going to fix everything overnight. And it isn't necessarily, but they've got a fabulous corporate account that's marketing is brilliant, and people are hungry to really try to dial back the clock.
Or it looks good, or you can't get into your esthetician, and so you're in Walmart and you're traveling, or you're in Walgreens and you say, oh man, desperate. And that's what's happened to me over the years. And then, you know, you figure the more you pay for it, that it's got to be better quality, but it's not necessarily that way.
Yeah.
You know, oil of Olay, I think, is one of them. Oh, well, they, like you said, they do great on campaigning, but their products, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, that's what's amazed me so much.
A few more.
Sorry?
A few more layers might help.
Yeah.
So another thing that I love is that you really have wonderful, you're definitely concerned about the customer. So I've had some time spent with you, and I noticed that you suggest packages for people, that they can layer their packages, and you spell them out really well for them. And every time I go in, you're always educating me, and I try to get smarter and smarter as you say, now this is what I'm doing, and this is the reason for it, and that sort of stuff. So I love that you've got a couple different companies that you work with, and you've mentioned to me why you do different ones. Why don't you expand on that?
Okay. The companies or the packages or the education?
Well, let's do both. Well, let's start with the packages first, and then, or however you want. Maybe you want to do the products first and then explain how that fits into your packages. Okay.
Well, skincare is cumulative. So you want to see a difference. And I tell people, it's like when you go to the gym. Say you go, on a Thursday, you're not going to look great on Friday. But if you keep going on a regular basis, within 6 weeks, 2 months, you're going to begin to look in the mirror and say, wow, I look good. My pecs are looking tighter. I'm looking slimmer and trimmer.
Mm-hmm.
So skincare is a routine, and most of skincare is in home care. And it's of a consistency by doing it twice a day and getting treatments in between. So you can see me almost like a personal trainer that's accelerating your progress. I encourage people to get packages because that keeps them on track, and it also saves them money because they're sometimes saving $250, and when they add up the packages, there's been times I've said on a stack, you just saved $1,000. So the packages are a great money saving way and motivate people to get on a regular program to improve their skin. On education, the reason why I really explain everything to my client is so when they're putting on, these creams and peptides and products on their face, they understand the science behind what it's doing and why I'm suggesting it. And I also want them to get a feel for, hey, how do I feel about this product? Or today I want to use this one. And they start to be able to choose, if you're doing leg lifts, you realize that works better than that for you. So we really massage the treatment plan into what works for a client's lifestyle and for their goals.
Yeah, I love that. I love it. Yeah.
The product lines that I brought in, I first brought in Victoria Deanne. I was told in a very thread-like way, somebody mentioned somebody who knew somebody that I should contact in Vermont, that there was this peptide, and the peptide was created by Dr. Dean Victor, and Dean Victor is an Austrian chemist who creates peptides, and peptides are amino acids. We're made up of proteins.
Oh.
That go under and signal to the cell the particular job it wants to do. So as we age, after the age of 25, our cells are not firing as well because we're losing collagen, we're losing elastin, our skin is starting to, have the issues of sagging, drying out, not in our 20s, but up in our 40s, 50s. So the peptides go in and signal the cells to turn back on so that they can begin to do the job that they did decades before.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm cherry picking from each product line, I really preferred Jan Marini's moisturizers. I preferred the cleanser, the bioglycolic, which is an alpha hydroxy cleanser, because babies' cells turn over 7 to 14 days, but as we get older, our cells turn over, I don't know, every 50 days, 48, 60 days. So we want to gently exfoliate our skin without getting, going into the drugstore and buying a walnut scrub and scrubbing our skin off. As I was going down further, I really needed a strong vitamin A, and I was wrestling with retinol versus retinaldehyde. And when I found osmosis and the RevitaPen, which is a nano needling pen, which is a device of pyramids that pushes the products deeper into your skin with a professional strength retinaldehyde, I found that their line was making a profound improvement in my client's skin. And so I began to bring on osmosis, created by Dr. Ben Johnson in Evergreen. Then I was looking for a new peel line. And so I thought about it for about a year or two and brought on Ben Fuchs Truth Systems peels, which have been gentle, more comfortable, and making a less inflamed, more profound difference for evening the skin tone for what people are going towards.
I love how you think these things through, and also how you reach right to the top, the owners of these companies, and have a one-on-one relationship with them and get their opinion if you have a question. That's just so important.
Yeah. I think it's so important too with the companies, because they can go about it and give, we're all learning every day, and they'll give a perspective to, a situation of, well, why don't you try this? Or why not this?
Right.
And you've seen, Ginny, where we try out different things sometimes and you'll say, oh, I like that.
Right. Yes. And I'd come in and you would talk about a new piece of equipment that you're working on or that you're thinking about getting. And as a matter of fact, I think you just had one recently.
I just brought in oxygen system. It's a nebulized oxygen that mists the skin with a plant peptide hyaluronic hydrosol that I'm misting into the skin, which has been very beneficial for people dealing with maskne, is the name for acne and bumps created by mask. It's good at anti-inflammatory, antibacteria, and very much brightening the skin, evening it out, plumping the skin. So it makes it a fabulous treatment to do before going to an event or a photo shoot or wanting to look really great that day, as well as long-term benefits.
Interesting. Every time you say that word, I can't help but feel.
Which word?
Nebulizer or something like that. And it makes me think of my husband's mother, who was on a nebulizer. Is there any similarity in the oxygen?
I remember my grandma's nebulizer.
Every time it hits me and I go, I just think of nebulizer and I can't get it out of my head. So I have to ask.
It's interesting you say that, because I went to meet the doctor who built the machine and created the serums. And I said, well, why doesn't it have a really pretty silver wand like I see in the magazine? And he said, well, that's when an esthetician is airbrushing, spraying something on versus misting it with a nebulizer on. So there's a different effect. And the nebulizer isn't as pretty as the metal wand. It's more effective.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you have to be back in your artist world versus your esthetician world.
Right.
Yeah.
I would have more fun, spraying people with a metal wand than I would nebulizing them, but I know the nebulizer is more effective.
Got it. Got it. That's fun. So I know that we've talked about packages that you run, and Valentine's Day is coming up. Do you have any specials that you're going to be running for February?
I do. So once a client comes into me, they become an established client and they receive a VIP special of the month. And I try to give them I don't bombard people, but I let them know what I am looking at, what's coming up, some great articles I find. For the month of February, because it's Valentine's Day, for whatever treatment people get, they can get a free eye lift or lip plumping treatment with the Nurtress microcurrent.
Nice.
That's going to be the special, and it's a doozy. It's a nice one.
Yeah, yeah. So that they can kiss their husband or their spouse or whomever. Now,
So,
do you also do men? Are men interested in this?
it's really funny. Men are often shy to admit that they want to come in. But once they come in, they melt on the table.
Do they really?
They really do. They really melt and they love it and they feel so clean and pampered, but they are so shy to admit how much they like it, but they do tell me.
Oh, do they?
But not as many as women, because there's more pressure on women, I think, to look good.
Yeah.
And then that's something I hear from the women that I work on is, wow, I wish my husband would keep up on his looks, because all the women my age look pretty good and the guys could use some help.
Yeah, yeah. Well, here's another question for you. I remember I may have gotten started. No, I should ask you. What age do women start to notice their looks to the point where they say, oh, I think I'll go get a facial, or I think I'll step it up? What is the progression of, this age versus this age?
Okay. I think it comes down to upbringing. So if they saw their mother taking care of their skin, that's going to influence when they start. European countries mostly French women, and Northern Europeans, Southern Europeans too, often pay a lot more attention to their skin. So those women will start younger. I see quite a few women coming into the office around 42, 43, where they're starting to see the shift of hormones or lifestyle has been stacking up. And then there's a more percentage at around 56.
Okay.
And up to probably, I have clients up to 83 years old. Men never get over taking care of their skin.
Wow.
But I tell people it can take up to a year to 2 years to turn their skin around, because we're undoing decades of habits and lifestyle.
Habits. Isn't that amazing how habits are that we keep looking at? Okay, maybe I need to break that one. Maybe I need to add this, that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So I tell people it is, we're trying to dial back the clock as much as we can, but it takes longer unless you start early.
So if someone starts coming in with you, then the two of you kind of assess the facial features and all that stuff. And then do you help them with a protocol of what kind of time frame for them to come in and what would be best for them? I'm wondering, are people going to start out with once a week? Once a month?
How does that work?
Yeah, maybe you could expand on that.
Sure. First, I want to know what somebody's desires are. And it's often different than what I might think they are. Like somebody will come in and tell me that they always mention their parents and how they're beginning to look like their mother or their father. And they'll point out their jowls, but what I'll see is massive rosacea. I mean, really red skin, or I'll see, something else that I'll see, but it's not my choice, it's theirs. So
Yeah.
I need to start going towards what their goal is. And then I also need to be clear on what's their commitment level, financially, time, where do they stand? And some people say, you know what, I need to take it really slow and natural, or I want to zoom this process up. I want to just start, banging it out. And I'll say,
Yeah.
okay. Then it is really realistic expectations to tell people, this is the time frame that you might begin to see a difference. This product works in this time. This product's got to go deep into the skin. This product's on the surface. So I give people realistic expectations, and we create a treatment plan that for some people might be once a month. Some people it might be 3 times a week for 5-6 weeks.
Wow.
When someone's doing LED light therapy and they really want to kind of move it through, it could be every other day.
Yeah, yeah. And then, so a lot of factors go into that. Their age is, as you said, a lot of different things, and that's what you discuss with them. That's terrific. And I know that's what we ended up doing. And then over time, you've been cutting back. You can cut back on the person's treatment depending on what they want.
Right. If somebody's getting microcurrent and they've gone through the 10 series, we can cut back to every 2, 3, 4 weeks. And it's not an everyday thing. And somebody will say, well, you know what? Now I'd like to do microneedling and I'd like to go in that direction. Oh, I actually want to work on my neck. Or can you help lift my eyes?
Yeah.
So we start to go in those, it's, the desire pattern of which direction we go. But the client's always leading and I'm suggesting what might be the direction.
Got it. That's great. That's terrific how you work with the people, what their needs are, what they want. I just absolutely love it. And also all the training that you do. I'm so much more educated than I was when I came in with my big bag of stuff.
That's what I want. I want you to know.
Right. Exactly. Was there anything else that we haven't covered that you'd like to tell folks about?
I think something that's really important that's coming up for me, that skincare isn't just topical. A lot of what's happening in our skin is really coming from our guts, our digestion, and what we're eating and taking into our body, how much water we're having, our stress levels. That's why I'm starting to bring in more wellness products with osmosis, like the recovery oil to replace fat pads lost in the face, regenerate to deal with the liver. So I'm really excited right now about looking into the intricacies of the internal health of someone coming out in their face, as well as working topically.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. When you say water, here's one thing that jumped into my mind. My understanding is that the water that we get from the tap has lots of chlorine and lots of bad stuff in it. Because of that, I ended up getting like a Berkey. Have you ever heard of a Berkey water filter? Or what is your thoughts on whether it's bottled water? Is there a specific water that you feel is better than another one?
Well, this is all opinion, but I'll tell you this. When I moved to Denver and lived in a house, my hair turned to straw. And I had the water tested and I found out that it was very, very hard. I brought in a water softener to Denver to save my hair back about 6 years ago, but it wasn't as healthy for me to drink that water. In Boulder, our water is pretty good. So it really depends on the well system that municipality is on.
Okay.
I think Boulder water is good. I don't know Longmont. I do have a filter. I have a multi-pure filter on my kitchen sink.
Okay.
So I have that built in on the side. I actually have an extra one to sell if someone needs one.
Okay.
But I have a multi-pure. I think that drinking bottled water is, I actually do love bottles of water. The plastic for me is fun to hold and I drink more. But the BP, I think it's BPA being sucked, leached from the plastic is very bad hormonally for people.
Okay.
It's also adding to landfills. So I try to avoid drinking from plastic bottles and I try to get my water from home from my filtered water.
Yeah, exactly. And most of the time, that works. Sometimes, when you're in a hurry, that's when you go ahead and just grab that bottle.
Exactly.
Exactly. Because we are in a busy world.
I know.
Very busy world.
Yeah.
Well, that's terrific information. Thank you, Dory. I really appreciate it. And I'm sure all the people out there will love hearing about this information. And I will also put on there your phone number, how they can contact you, and about where you are in Boulder. And we'll do a short clip paragraph about you as well.
Fabulous. I'll look forward to meeting everybody, and I hope to see you come in for a facial so I can get to know your skin and what it is that you need and desire for your skin.
And remember, bring your bag of goodies in so that you can show her what all you've had over the years. She loves that.
Great. Thanks.
Well, thank you, Dory. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too, Ginny.
Have a good day.
You too.